My name is Reverend Dr. Barry King, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about consciousness today. From my point of view, from a spiritual point of view, I believe that we all arise out of the mind of the divine. That you and I and everything that exists in this universe is part of a great thought, that we arise out of the mind of the all. And that in essence, that mind is what we exist in. The other truth that arises out of that is the fact that we are connected to that divine mind, and that everything that exists within this universe is connected through universal mind, the universal consciousness that is God. And there's some amazing things that arise out of this truth. And one of the things is that we are connected not only to other humans and others that share the level of consciousness that we have, but that we also have a connection to all those things that are conscious, but maybe are living within different kingdoms here in this universe. And one of those kingdoms is the mineral kingdom. And this would include things like planets and rocks and crystals and things of that nature. And to understand that they are conscious is an important thing, because it allows us to work with that kingdom. It allows us to use crystals in a meaningful way to work with our home, the planet, in ways. We communicate on some level. We may not understand the level, but the consciousness of the mineral kingdom and our consciousness are compatible. They function on a different level, in a different speed, in a different way, but we're compatible. We connect. I connect with crystals. I connect with this Mother Earth that we live on. I suspect you may too. Another kingdom that has consciousness that we relate to is the plants, the trees, the flowers, the plants that grow in our homes, the plants that feed us. We are connected to them, not only physically, but on a conscious level. Any of you who raise plants and have a green thumb know that there is a connection that you have to the consciousness that you know as your plants. And again, we can learn to work with that. We can learn to enhance that. We can learn to communicate on a level that is different, but meaningful, purposeful. Work with them, work through them. Another kingdom is an obvious one, which is the animal kingdom. We have a connection to the consciousness of many creatures that live within the animal kingdom. And some of those connections are very strong. Any of you who have pets are aware of your connection to your pets and how you feel them, how you're aware of their consciousness. We can learn to work with that more on a spiritual level. We can learn to be connected to them in new ways, exciting ways, telepathic ways. Because consciousness that shared is indeed shared. So you are connected to the creatures that move within the physical environments that we live and function in. And you may not spend a lot of time thinking about it, but that consciousness does resonate and you have connection. It's a real thing. And then, of course, it's obvious that you're connected to the consciousness of other humans, of men, of women, of people. And not only here in the physical, and this is true for all the kingdoms, but also on a spiritual level. You are connected to the kingdoms, to the mind, to the consciousness that exists there. So we are connected to each other on a level that's not physical, that's conscious feelings. And so we have things like spiritual entities and such that appear within our world and that we can communicate with and relate to. This is part of being connected to divine mind. And there is another consciousness, a higher consciousness that exists, that is beyond us. And this consciousness is the consciousness maybe of the angels, maybe of other entities, maybe of the jinn, maybe of nature spirits, maybe of people who live on other planets, in other places, in other dimensions, vibrational dimensions, physical dimensions. The universe is conscious, and you and I are connected to that. And if you learn to be aware of it, and those of you who are sensitive are already aware of it, you can learn to work with it, to nurture it, to grow through it. I hope you find this information useful. To me, it's a wondrous thing, an amazing thing. My house is full of plants. I love my pets. I've always had animals in my life. My rooms are filled with crystals of different kinds. I feel them. You too have this. You too can nurture this. It is not an imagining. It's a truth. Thank you, and God bless.